the warmer weather. We've been lucky that it's not been dramatic increases in heat with freezing overnight. That's limited the severity of flooding this year. As well, with the spring weather, we are planning to start clearing road debris here on Monday, subject to conditions. So there still is ice in some areas, and there is 5 to 10 centimeters of snow projected for this weekend. So if that occurs, we might be postponing that a little bit further. But that's just one of the things we'll deal with for as we get deal with spring in Alberta here in April. And in parks, we're beginning engagement with businesses along 100th Avenue between 112th and 116th Street. This is part of the urban forest capital work, where we're going to be planting groves along that roadway. We want to ensure that we're not impacting view corridors for the businesses there with their signage. And with that, I'll take any questions.
That's great, Mr. Glavin. Lots going on. Happy to hear about the RFPs awarded and the work to commence here shortly. And I was starting to see motorbikes around quite a bit last weekend. So yeah, cleaning those streets would be really helpful for them. Mayor Clayton, you had a question?
Yeah, you kind of addressed it already, Chairman. But Mr. Glavin, happy to hear that street cleaning will start, assuming that the winter conditions don't continue on. I think that it's great for the community to know, because that driving around, the gravel is intense. And so as we do multiple rounds, it's more of a question for clarification for those who may not be aware. Can you tell us how many times arterials get cleaned and how many times residential areas get cleaned throughout the season?
Thanks, Chair Bosch. Typically, arterial roads will be done 3 times, residential 1 to 2, depending on the amount of debris. So in a year that we've had to put down a significant amount of material, it sometimes will take more than 1 pass to get it, but ultimately it's however many is required. So if we needed to do a 4th in some areas, we'd go out and do a 4th.
Perfect. And if I may, Chairman, just have a follow-up on that.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Glavin, would it be valuable? One thing we've never really communicated that I'm aware of, is it valuable, is it helpful, I guess is a better word, for Transportation Department in their cleanup? If residents are sweeping off the sidewalk and moving the gravel, 5 feet from the curb, is there tips that you would recommend from the Transportation Department that would help the debris cleaning be more successful?
Thank you, Chair Bosch. I wouldn't say we necessarily need them to go onto the roadways to push it out further into the street, although that is essentially what we do when we go out there. We have equipment that does that. But ensuring that it's off of sidewalks in front of your house or your business would be useful, just so that if you're going to put it onto the street, that would be the time to do it sooner than later.
Great, thank you. And if Ms. Chairman, if there's no one else in the queue, I had a question on another topic from his report.
I do have a couple in the queue, so I'll come back to you.
I'll wait to come around.
Can I just add to your comment, Mayor Clayton, to Mr. Glavin, in regards to street cleaning in the residential areas, do we have a method of warning people to move their vehicles? I'd love to see signs, because I know just even on my own street, people would go out to move their vehicles knowing that it would be cleaned up for them.
Thank you, Chair Bosch. I know one of the things that we started doing in some areas this year for snow clearing was putting signs up. I'll take that back to transportation and see if we could use a similar technique for residential street cleaning.
I think that would be excellent. Or even the text process, coming into your area, that would be awesome. Councillor O'Toole.
But, Ms. Chairman, I think Mr. Glavin could identify that street cleaning is done on the same cycle as garbage removal and snow removal. So knowing that it is the day before your garbage day, and I would think, Mr. Glavin, it would be fair to say that there's communication similar to snow removal to identify when that street cleaning is done, correct?
Thank you, Chair Bosch. Yes, I believe that we do communicate when we're out there street sweeping different neighborhoods, but I'll take that back between transportation communications just to make sure our strategy is effective and if there's any opportunities to improve it.
Yeah, I think for me, anyway, that's if you're doing residential once, perhaps twice, that could be just a missed note. And, you know, a simple A-board sign saying they're coming through, I think is not a difficult ask. And if it was every time you had garbage pickup, then people would become conditioned to it. But because it's only once, I'm not so sure they are. Councillor O'Toole.
Yeah, just a question. So there's no snow being moved back to the snow dump right now? We're done with that for the year?
Thank you, Chair Bosch. We would be moving snow wherever we felt it would be prudent to mitigate flood risk.
Yeah.
But right now, it's not a priority for us. Not to say that it won't happen depending on need, but right now, that's not a priority for us.
Fair enough. I know that in front of my house, I had about 4.5 feet of snow. It's down to about 2 feet now. Thank you.
Councillor Thiessen.
There we go. Up until his weather forecast, I thought Chief Glavin had a hookup with Mother Nature because we've been getting nothing but good weather since he took over as far as snow removal and street cleaning goes. But I'll cross my fingers and hope you can make that call again this weekend. To change subject a little bit, sound attenuation. So we awarded that contract. What's the timeline for the work to be done on that part of the Eastlink Centre?
Thank you, Chair Bosch. I don't have that offhand here, but I can circulate after committee.
Okay, no, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glavin. Okay, Mr. O'Connor, or Councillor O'Connor.
Get my mic to work. Thank you. I don't know if this is the appropriate place or not, but I've had quite a few calls in regards to the signage for the parks, and I don't know who takes care of that right now. And I know that the ground is still frozen, but people are noticing there's a lot more people using the paths in Crystal Lake and the park. So I'm just wondering, where is that in the process of getting these signs put up to tell people what the rules are? And also, will we be putting that on the website so people know, hey, here's what the rules, be kind, whatever.
Thank you, Chair Bosch. I'll follow up with transportation, but as you pointed out, until the frost comes out of the ground, we're likely not going to go out there, but probably within the next 6 weeks, I imagine that there'll be a window to do that.
Okay, they saw the sun come out and the snow melting and they're losing their mind because there's no signage up. So that makes sense. Thank you.
I can tell you what people are noticing, including me, potholes. So I'm pretty happy to hear that you're going 24 hours a day. So that's great. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chairman Bosch. My other question, Mr. Chief Glavin, was around communication on feeding of wild animals. In particular, Council's heard from numerous members of the Swanhaven community in regards to a rabbit issue. I know that the communication has gone throughout the city through social media. However, can you just expand on communication that in particular or may have been taking place in Swanhaven, or have we gone and knocked on the doors of people that we think are actually feeding animals? How intensive have our actions and our intent been on controlling this issue that we're hearing about?
Thank you, Chair Bosch. So particularly in Swanhaven, where the issue with rabbits originated, enforcement has actually gone specifically to some residences and spoken with those residents about not feeding wildlife. And to our knowledge, we haven't, or at least to my knowledge, I haven't received any additional complaints about feeding in that area. Regarding communications, there was signage put up in Swanhaven specifically to address the issue, and then there were general communications to the entire city, including, I believe, at the home show, they were promoting that there, I think, last week or the week before.
Great, thank you for that.
On the same vein as that, the conditions in regards to the amount of rabbits in that area, is there like a plan like to trap them, or is it just going to decline on its own? What does it look like in the future for that issue?
Thank you, Chair Bosch. Right now, we're monitoring, so there's not a trapping program in place or any other population control for them in place right now, but we are monitoring the situation.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else with questions? I don't see any. Thank you, Mr. Glavin, for your report, and everyone for the questions. So we'll move on to basically the outstanding items list. Mr. Glavin?
Thank you, Chair Bosch. Initially, we had planned to bring forward the design and construction manual terms of reference to this meeting. However, in the intervening 2 weeks from last committee, we already have a minor review going on with respect to the road design standards that's just been completed, and the consultant is ready to present to council and stakeholders. So we made the decision, just given that this is not extremely time sensitive to have the review start immediately, that it would be better sequencing to bring forward the results of that review, as they'll need to be incorporated into the design and construction manual. And they are a little bit more time sensitive, as if we get those in sooner, we can start potentially incorporating those things into the next capital program. So the plan is in probably the third week of April that we'll have the consultant up to present to council, and then we can potentially move forward with adopting those revisions and then bring forward the terms of reference shortly thereafter for the larger review. Other than that, no updates to the timelines for the other two items. With regard to the St. Joseph High School crosswalk painting, the main thing that we're waiting on this is the Transportation Association of Canada is reviewing the non-standard crosswalks. They're still saying end of March. They have 3 days right now to meet that timeline. But we're hoping that'll be forthcoming soon so that we can bring back a policy for council consideration based on those. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Glavin. And are you going to attend to business, Councillor Thiessen? Mayor Clayton, did you have your hand up for this?
My apologies.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Chair Bosch. Thanks for the reports today, Chief Glavin. I would move that council approve the outstanding items list as amended.
Thank you. I'll call the question.
Councillor Thiessen in favor.
Mayor Clayton.
Mayor Clayton in favor.
Thank you. All right, there we go. That is passed, and I'll adjourn the meeting. 2 minutes. Thank you.